Hey guys, so today I want to start off by reminding you of a little story. And it's a little tale that you've heard of, and it's about a boy who cried wolf. Now, if you remember the story, this kid was out in the field and he wanted to get people's attention and get people to notice him, so he would cry wolf because his job was to scream, "Hey, there's a wolf coming, they're going to come and eat the sheep." And so the villagers would run out and they'd go out there and see there was no wolf. Kid would laugh, ha ha ha, I gotcha. Duh. And he'd do that a couple of times. And he did it so often that the villagers stopped responding and or trusting when he screamed wolf. And then a wolf showed up one day, and the boy starts frantically freaking out and going, "Wolf! There's a wolf!" And guess what? No one showed up, and the boy got eaten. We're going to be looking at something very similar to that today, and how we sometimes cry wolf. So, starting in James chapter 5, verse 12, it says, "Above all, my brothers and sisters, do not swear, either by heaven or by earth, or with any other oath, but let your yes mean yes, and your no mean no, so that you won't fall under judgment." So guys, here it says do not swear, and this is not a verse saying don't cuss. There's other verses that talk about let no foul utterance proceed from your mouth. What this swear is talking about is like making an oath. For instance, let's say someone could, like, you and I are sitting down, and I go into the kitchen and find out that there's no more Twinkies. And I walk up to you and I'm like, "Hey, did you eat the last Twinkie?" And then you say, "No, man, I swear on my mama's grave, I didn't eat the last Twinkie," even though I see the Twinkie wrapper in your hand. But oh man, no, I swear on my mom's grave, I swear I promise that I swear that I did not eat it. That is the swearing it's talking about, this oath. Now, why is James saying this? Why is this an issue? And the issue is, around this time, these Jews had what they classified as binding oaths and non-binding oaths. And the oaths, right, the non-binding oaths that did not include the name of God were non-binding. This is fancy to basically say a binding oath is like saying, "In the name of God, I will meet you at school tomorrow at the flagpole an hour before it starts." Like, that's a binding oath. But an unbinding oath is if you basically cross your fingers behind your back. So, "Oh yeah, I'll totally meet you at school tomorrow. Sure, and you don't show up. That is the issue. Take in mind, the people that James has been writing to, we went over a bunch of issues that they've had. They've got a lot of issues going on. And this is one of those, where they were basically lying. They were making false oaths. They were crossing their fingers behind their back and being like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do that," and not fulfilling their word. And so we gotta notice here that this scripture is not forbidding all oaths. Not all oaths are bad. There's oaths. Man, saying oaths a lot is hard. But in the Old Testament and the New Testament, there is godly men using and making oaths. There's even God making oaths, and done correctly and done by God's power. When God does it, we could talk about that later. But it's done correctly. It's not used as a deception or by deceptive people trying to get their way. It's an oath saying, "Yes, I will do this." So not all oaths are bad. Just like when you take an oath when you go to court, well, hopefully you never go to court, but when you go to court and you put your right hand on the Bible and swear that you're going to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, that's taking an oath. That's not a bad oath. This scripture is not saying don't make those oaths. Not what it's talking about. So, we're going to talk about the perks of honesty. So, an honest person lets their yes be yes and their no be no. That kind of person means that other people will believe you at your word. If you tell someone that you're going to do something, they will believe you. And that requires your actions and your track record of what you say to match up. They both need to coincide and go together. You do what you say you're going to do, and you don't do what you say you're not going to do. That is important. That's an honest person, and that's what James is calling us to be here, to be someone who lets his yes be yes and his no be no. Now, what's the downfall of being dishonest, of being like the boy who cries wolf, of being the person whose yes isn't yes and their no isn't no? Look at the end of the verse. The end of verse 12 says, so that you won't fall into judgment. Remember, we've been talking about this quite a few times through James. There's that end judgment of the works that you did in this life, in your life on earth. That end judgment of those works and what you did for God or what you did for yourself. And so it's saying, don't do this or in fear of judgment. Like, that's got to be the scariest thing, standing in front of God and seeing your works burn away and realizing how much of your life on earth was wasted on yourself and not for God. And so God is calling us to be righteous. And to be righteous, we're supposed to be honest people, letting our yes be yes. So let your yes mean yes and your no mean no. As a Christian, we need to be honest, telling the truth, following and doing what we say we'll do, and not doing the things we say we won't do. Being this honest person, letting yourself know. Also, be honest even when you mess up. When you fail, when you do something wrong, it is better to come clean, tell the truth, and even come clean to God, even though he knows you did it. Tell him, God, I'm sorry. And humble yourself and break your pride. Humble yourself and admit your wrongdoing. Because just like if you notice with your parents, if you lie about something bad you did, the consequences are always worse. So be honest right away. Also, don't be the maybe guy. There's, on Facebook, for, us older people, on Facebook, you get those invitations and it says going, maybe, or not going. I have friends that I know if they click maybe, it means they're not going. I'd rather them just tell me yes or no. Don't be that person that's like, maybe, but you really know that means no. Be honest. If you're not going to go, then say it. If you don't want to do that thing, then say it. Be an honest person. So, check yourself. Make sure that if you have to swear on an oath, right, that it's a good oath, but make sure that you're doing what's right. Because the people who have to swear by oaths, no one trusts them. They're the boy who cried wolf. They're the one that they can't be trusted, so therefore they resort in making oaths to get you to believe them. If that's you, if you have to make an oath to get someone to believe you, you need to start working on your own life, being an honest person, letting your yes be yes and your no be no. And it's going to take a while. It's hard because you're going to have to make up for all those years that you were dishonest. But it's worth it. So start that path. And if you're being an honest person, keep forward in that. Keep trudging on and doing what God's called you, because you and I are the light. We are examples of God on this earth. So be an honest person. So let your yes be yes and your no be no. Stay safe, stay blessed, and spread the gospel.